Divisions is album number 3 from space rock band Starset and was released on Friday 13th, 2019. Much like the band's prior 2 albums, the album is conceptually refers to the fictional story written by frontman Dustin Bates about a dystopian future struggling with the misuse of technology. This is a story that's not only carrying over from the last 2 albums, like I said, but it's also something that's tied into a novel and a comic book, as well as a second novel that's on the way. However, you do not need to know all that lore to enjoy the music, as I have yet to actually read the novel or the comic. Now, how does this album compare to the last 2 albums? Let's find out. But first, I want to ask you a question. Which of the 3 is your favorite Starset albums and why? Leave a comment on that down below, and I'll look forward to hearing what you have to say. And now, as always with my review, it's time to talk about the album artwork. This album artwork is very simple. It's just simply a gray background with a logo, with the top half of the logo looking like a dark blue star and the bottom half being two light blue diagonal lines, in which it does kind of seem like either a flag or a type of military kind of logo. So you do get the sense of the album having a darker tone with that kind of cover, and it does help to reflect the album fairly well in the tone that it's going for. It's simple, but it's very effective, and it really helps to get the concept of this particular album out to the front. So I'm going to give this cover a perfect score of 10 out of 10. Now, as always, those album cover scores do not impact my overall enjoyment of the album. That's just something I do for fun because album covers are an extremely underrated facet of music. Now, for my overall thoughts on the record, is that there's definitely a lot of different, more styles being covered here. You have some songs which are very dejecty, and then you have other songs which are more on the alternative side. It's pretty diverse overall, just like the last album had quite a bit of diversity. The interludes on this album are absolutely fantastic. They feel clear and very fleshed out. More than they did on Transmissions, there really wasn't interludes on Vessels. And the interludes are just very immersive on here. They're definitely a very strong highlight, and that's a good thing. The album very much feels like a movie with those, especially with those interludes, and it's just so amazing, especially the sound effects that happen with the interludes. They're just really amazing. The electronics on this album are also a massive improvement. That's one thing, is that from each album the electronics seem to be getting better and better. And as with the interludes, I said, this is the most immersive Starset album yet. And it's just narratively amazing. Feels like a movie from the opening, from the intro, which is sort of like an opening narration of a sci-fi movie or a video game, and it just like helps you to like get you like instantly sucked into the story. This is definitely a very solid album. In fact, I would say it's a pretty great one. However, this album is not on par with Vessels. Vessels, when I heard it, my mind was just like blown. That was like, every single song in that album just blew me away, but here, I didn't quite have that effect. This album is definitely more of a grower, as you do have to give it multiple listens to sort of, and the more you listen to it, the more you enjoy it. And the more you start to understand things on how this album's DNA and how it works. So, but this album is one that I definitely recommend. When you listen to it, give it 3 to 4 spins before you come to your own conclusion on whether or not you like this album or not. Some spots on this album are heavier than they were on the last two albums, since they do have the influence of the Gents, especially on the opening track Manifest. And then there's also another song which is just really amazing, Telekinetic, which just, holy crap, those screams in the bridge are just wow. I did not expect to honestly hear that in a Starset song, even though Starset does have some fairly heavier songs in their catalog, but Telekinetic definitely takes the cake as probably the heaviest song, and it falls right after the more alternative sounding song, so there is a bit of a genre whiplash there. However, despite all that, I will say this is probably the softest Starset album to date overall. That's not to say that it's like completely like filled with ballads and stuff. It's just more of, I wouldn't say it's a lot softer, I would say it's more slightly softer compared to the last two albums. This is the band's darkest album tonally, and it's first to feature spoilers for the story for about 15 seconds. If you don't want to be spoiled here, I would say use the fast forward button and hit it twice to skip to 20 seconds. And if you don't want to be spoiled, so 3, 2, 1. Okay. This is the first album, I believe, in this trilogy to feature a bad ending to the story. I did check where the narrative was on the story. It seems a lot of people don't know. That's still more speculation. But this does feel like it's like... however, this does not feel like the end of the story. It also could be the new beginning, and they have the next album already planned, which we won't find out about that speculation until 2 years from now, going by Starset's album cycle, when the next one drops. However, watch all this be irrelevant, and this album will be revealed to be a prequel. The hooks and choruses on this album are not as strong as they were on the last two releases. However, there are some very strong choruses and hooks on this album. And while this is the strongest album in terms of concept and story, it's overall similar to Transmissions in music, with some strong tracks, but the album as a whole cannot keep that level musically. There are some weaker tracks here, I mean, compared to the whole album. Not saying those songs are bad or mediocre or anything like that, just that there are some weaker songs in the over grander picture, like Where the Sky's End, which actually was a single. And however, this is, even though this album does not live up to the what Vessels was as this sort of mind expanding experience, it is definitely still a solid album that I very much enjoyed. I definitely recommend it, and I'm going to give it a rating of 8.5 out of 10 to a fairly light 9 out of 10, giving it a tier of masterpiece. This is an album that also could actually grow on me more and more as I listen to it, as it's already doing that. My favorite tracks on this album were Manifest, which is a very strong single and an excellent opener. Perfect Machine, which is the alternative song. Telekinetic, which I've already touched upon. Solstice, which is very proggy. And then the other one is Trials, which has a very strong chorus, and I do love the strings on this song, as well as the opening lines lyrically. And Other Worlds Than These, which has sort of this interesting synth at the beginning, but I just love those strong riffs, and there's like very strong verses in that song. When the drop hits in that song, right after the vocal synth in the intro, it just goes hard, and it's a really awesome song. And then Diving Bell, which is the album closer and the album's ballad, which has a bleak ending to the album. Or is this ending only the beginning? With that being said, tell me what were your thoughts on this album. Did you love it and did you hate it? And what was your favorite track on this album? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, I'll chat to you guys down there. And I want to thank you for watching and have a great day.